Ben Sebastian here, curator of the Symphonic podcast, composer of the Kalasin series of albums, and I'm back here feeling a bit under the weather. I think I've got a cold coming on, so excuse any sniffles and snuffles. But this appears to be a one-man project, quite an immense one. I have actually listened to the music before running. This concerns an album by a project called DÆMONS. Note the very old-fashioned spelling there. And it's called CORPOREALITY. And okay, here we go. I'm going to absolutely bastardize the French language here. Brackets une folie partegee par une, which I think translates loosely, I think, into the madness of one, because there's a famous psychological term, I think, which is folie due or something like this, which is the madness of two, something I've read about before. But okay, moving on. So this is going to be something quite different, because it's sort of death metal / progressive metal / jazz metal. And the artist concerned, and his name sort of escapes me, has done a fantastic sort of interview with boardcity.co, and I'll pop a link down below. And in that interview, he sort of explains that he was born and raised in Germany, moved to the US in 2000, came from a musical family, was introduced very early on to artists such as Frank Zappa and Toto, and then he kind of sort of moved into sort of the world of rock and jazz. He then gravitated towards the heavier sort of bands such as Opeth, Cynic, and the jazz fusion side of things, Chick Corea, Greg Howe, I know that name, and slowly things sort of developed, and he sort of said there's an ambitious story behind this album, and it is a concept album, and it's about learning to let go and the grieving process. And he says the tricky thing about writing a concept album is it's often a very specific story, so he's attempted to sort of make it relatable to anyone that listens to it. And there's certain sort of characters in the story of the album, which he hasn't given names to, but they have been heavily influenced by some films, which add a sort of sense of bleakness to it. He's also has a main message towards people to take from the project, and that's not to be confined by limitations. Step out of your comfort zone and try different things, especially when it comes to music, and that's something that I advocate quite a lot. You know, he'll write a section in his piece. Doesn't matter if it started off death metally. If he feels like he wants to throw some jazz or some other kind of nuance in there, he will do so. It's all a very good interview. I won't regurgitate much more about it. Let you go and read it yourself. But you know, I like where this guy is coming from. He's come up with a sort of concept, and he just composes whatever comes out. That's something that works well for me. I can be going along and chopping and changing, and then suddenly there's this completely sort of bizarre detour. So I was very keen to dive into the album, and dive into the album I did. And you know, the only unfortunate thing is that there's only I'm only going to be playing 3 tracks, so I encourage you to listen to this. But to give you a better sense of what it's about, I suppose let's get into the music. So the album starts with this fantastic sort of overture, introduction, prologue type thing. It goes on for 9 minutes, and it's absolutely epic. And then we land here. Act 1, Scene 1, The Incident.
Yeah.
so good. Energetic. I love how that heaviness comes back in towards the end. Oh, there's so many interludes and time signature changes and style changes in here that I just absolutely adore. This guy is absolutely manic busy. This would be a hard thing to play live. I mean, wow, there's just so much to remember. I'm thinking of this as a musician myself. I mean, it's just fantastic riff work, some fantastic keys, fantastic sort of overlays, the harmonics. And as someone that isn't particularly into their jazz, I have to say that I'm sold in this variety. I mean, obviously, I would be, I suppose, to some extent, because I do appreciate, musical ability and musical creativity. But it was placed in there perfectly, and then as it came out, all suddenly, that kind of added to the perfection of what came before. If you get me, look, I'm absolutely buzzing. I know this is my second listen. I caught the album on my way to work and while setting up the kitchen I work in yesterday. So this is my second listen, but it still evokes such a reaction. So then I want to sort of move on to some of the darker side, and I'm going to move on to Scene 2, track 9 in the album. Sorry, I'm going to move on to Act 2, Scene 2, which is called The Battle.
Don't you wish
Yeah. Oh, I need to lower my internal temperature. My days. Oh, Jesus. That was amazing. Again on the second listen, this is more sort of like death, sort of black. The problem with making some music that is quite sort of complicated is that sometimes it's very hard to create. It's very hard to create. It's sometimes very hard to create a vibe, but this guy, like the demons, like they do it in spades. It's this is like a rebirth of. It's definitely sort of Opeth like style, vibes in here and in the previous play. And I'll allude a little bit to Dream Theater as well. This is absolute progressive gold, and I cannot tell you how much fun it is. I'm going to cool down. I'm going to come back to the third track. Give me a minute. Okay, right. I think I'm fit to continue. So, yeah, I mean, this is just an epic album. It's as brutal as it is technical. And it's a glorious display of musicality and talent. And Demons, whoever you are, you should be very, very proud of yourself for this level of output. So finalizing this video is another track called Ego Death, and it's Act 2, Scene 4, track 11. And yeah, buckle up. Love the keys in this, love the keys in this. What an awesome showcase of metal and musical finery, epicness. I mean, wow. I mean, that just showcases, if you listen to that track in isolation, that shows you everything that this guy is capable of. That could have so easily been a Dream Theater track. Or as I say, lashings of Opeth and similar bands like it. But yeah, with the jazzy influences, this guy creates his own vibe, and it's just astonishing. I'm speechless. I'm gonna nick this art cover, and it's gonna go up here, around here somewhere, because this has been one of the most astonishing submissions I've received here in 2023. I totally get every breakaway, every kind of, sort of nuance, every sort of change. I get where the guy's coming from, and it's done so masterfully. It's inspiring. I like to think that I write complicated music, but there's nothing in comparison to what I've listened here. And there's just so many takeaways from this album, and it's an absolute pleasure to listen to. So whether you're into your jazz or your proggy or your deaf, I hope that there's been something for all of you guys in this video. And look, I'm going to leave some links and what you have you below. Like this project deserves such applause, recognition, and following. So click up.